Speaking of shameless liars in the media, CBS News has a whole chock full stock of them, from the people who run 60 Minutes, like Scott Pelley, to Nora O'Donnell, who used every night's broadcast to attack Donald Trump during the campaign, to that crazy chick with the wacky expressions on her face during Face the Nation. They're all awful. They all lie, and they all attack you and Donald Trump. The sad thing is they do it when the camera's off as well, even at a college graduation. Wake Forest University, Scott Pelley, the anchor of CBS News, who takes his journalism very, very seriously. You can tell because he talks like this. He was invited to deliver the commencement address. Imagine being one of these students finally done with college. Imagine being one of the parents who maybe paid the substantial tuition bill for Wake Forest University. It's the happiest day of your life. You'll never have to pay those bills anymore. And now your kid is going to go start life. And you have to sit through a rant, a diatribe from Scott Pelley. Let's watch a little, shall we?
You know, if we were in London walking past Portland Place on a beautiful spring day, we would encounter the headquarters of the British Broadcasting Corporation, a nearly 100-year-old building from which Edward R. Murrow, the original CBS News correspondent, stood on the roof and broadcast back to America the falling bombs of fascism that fell on that free city month after month. And if we walk a little bit further past the BBC, we will encounter another hero in the fight against fascism, George Orwell. He'll be standing right there, frozen in bronze, with his words carved in the side of the building. If liberty means anything at all, it means telling someone something that they don't want to hear. I fear there may be some people in the audience who don't want to hear what I have to say today. But I appreciate your forbearance in this small act of liberty.
Wow. I mean, there's self-aggrandizing, and then there's pomposity like you just witnessed. As Scott Pelley not only likens himself to George Orwell, and by the way, Scott, I don't think you really understood 1984 or Animal Farm for that matter. You might want to go back and reread them because he was talking about you, pal. You're not Orwell in this scenario. Sorry. He likens himself to George Orwell and Edward R. Murrow, fighting against the fascists and the big government tyranny of disinformation, when he just witnessed 4 years of a fascistic Biden administration who literally censored anyone who dared question whether wearing a mask was going to help themselves against COVID-19. In fact, we just this week found out that the Biden administration characterized people who challenged vaccine mandates in a confidential, top secret, classified memo. They characterized them as terrorists, domestic terrorists, for using free speech on social media to question the vaccine mandates. Thank God Tulsi Gabbard has released that memo, but he thinks Tulsi Gabbard, the person who got that information out, is on the side of the authoritarian Orwellian speech police. He's completely lost it. And the pomposity knows no end when he then challenges people in the audience. If they don't like what they hear today, well, you're just as bad as the authoritarians Orwell was warning us of. I don't know how he keeps that giant head on his shoulders, but we're only beginning.
I'm a reporter, so I won't bury the lead. Your country needs you. The country that has given you so much is calling you. The class of 2025. Your country needs you, and it needs you today. As a reporter, I've learned to respect opinions. Reasonable people differ about the life of our country. And America works well when we listen to those that we disagree with, where We listen to those and we disagree with and have common ground and compromise. And one thing we can all agree on, one thing at least, America is at her best when everyone is included. To move forward, we debate, not demonize. To move forward, we debate, not demonize.
There, sorry. Don't know why it didn't pause for me. Can I just pause for a moment here? Because I've watched CBS News quite a bit. It's part of my job. I watch it so you don't have to. Can I just explain that? And if you watch CBS News, I'd love to hear your reaction here when you hear that what makes America great is being able to debate and hear alternate points of view and being able to sort of have this exchange of ideas. Have you ever, and I do mean ever, let me just be clear, have you ever in the past 10 years seen your perspective or point of view fairly represented on any CBS News program? 60 Minutes, Face the Nation, Evening News, any of them? Ever. And I mean ever. Give me an example. I would love to see it. The lack of self-awareness from this pompous ass is astounding. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is in the context of a commencement address at a major university. The arrogance and self-important narcissism to decide that this entire speech to these young graduates is going to be all about his struggle session with the current Republican president. What an ass.
Discuss, not destroy. But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts.
Dude, he's got demons, and he needs to like lay down on a couch and talk about, where President Trump, the naughty things that Trump did to him in his imagination, because this is just a freakazoid, like bipolar attack that we're seeing. Think this through for a minute. He just said that our legal system, our freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and our schools are under constant attack right now. He's delivering a speech at a school. And he's able to say whatever the hell he wants. I mean, if our schools are under attack, our speech is under attack, and journalism under attack, then how is it a journalist can give a speech at a school without being attacked? I mean, the fact that he's delivering this speech sort of shines a light on the fake crisis that he's trying to lay out there. But of course, you'd actually have to think this through and connect the dots logically to reach that conclusion, which of course, Mr. Pelley, and by the way, this dude in the shades right behind him, he ain't having any of it. Look at him. Look at this dude. He's like, what the hell? What the hell am I wasting my time up here for? And I'm excited that Betty White was there too. If that's not Betty White's got a doppelganger.
The fear to speak in America. If our government is, in Lincoln's phrase, of the people, by the people, for the people, then why are we afraid to speak?
Who in the hell is afraid to speak? He's literally speaking. But let me tell you something. If Trump's critics in the electronic mass media are afraid to speak out and afraid to criticize Donald Trump, I'd hate to see what it looks like when they feel emboldened. What kind of lying hysteria is this? Girl, stop your pearl clutching. You're going to be fine, okay? Dang. Is your husband going to be joining us after the speech? Who's afraid? Name names. I want to know. Scott Pelley, I want you to name the names of your colleagues who are afraid to speak, who are afraid to give their opinion, who are afraid to report the news. Tell us, who are you talking about? Are you afraid, Scott? Is this you? Are you the one who's afraid? Because you seem to be giving this speech. And nothing's happening to you, dude. But of course he doesn't name names. It's all esoteric up here. Oh God, they're coming after us. And it's fear-mongering. It's complete and total fear-mongering. We literally live in the freest moment of any kind of electronic media age that we've ever had in the past. And it's not just because the medium, which is part of the message, as you're receiving this information on live stream direct to you as I'm saying it, you're hearing it 5 seconds later because it does have to bounce off a satellite or two. But what's really ironic is that we're coming off of a couple of years where I couldn't say whatever I wanted to say on this channel, on this platform, if it had to do with a couple of things that were absolutely forbidden. You know, things like transgender issues or COVID-19 vaccine issues or pandemic mandate issues, even abortion. I would get removed from this platform if I challenged the 2020 presidential election and some of the shenanigans that happened in certain states where they had unprecedented number of mail-in ballots. If I said stuff like that just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, this channel would be canceled, deleted, suspended. But I didn't hear Scott Pelley talking about how fearful we were to speak our mind and report the truth back then. Only now is he feeling that fear, and yet he still doesn't tell us who exactly is afraid. But go ahead, Scott. Let it all out. It's a therapy session. Show us on the doll where Trump hurt you.
Vladimir Zelensky, president of Ukraine, spent his entire career as an entertainer on television. His first elected office was president of Ukraine. And 3 years ago, the Russian army came at him from 3 directions. He had a decision to make. So he reached for the most lethal weapon in the Ukrainian arsenal, his cell phone. And he walked out in front of the presidential offices in Kyiv and made a video selfie and told his people, I'm still here. Your army is still here, and we are going to fight. Galvanized 44 million people instantly. And today, 3 years later, he is all that stands between a murderous dictator in Russia and the rest of free Europe. I asked Zelensky, where did that come from? And he said, well, you look in the mirror and you ask, who are you? Institutions of higher education share a commitment to serve as centers of open inquiry, where in their pursuit of truth, faculty, students, and staff are free to exchange ideas and opinions across a full range of viewpoints without fear. Without fear of retribution, censorship, or deportation.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously he's referring to the international student visas that have now been put on hold at Harvard because some of the students that they let in have lied about why they came here and have overstayed their welcome here, but also have actually become activists undermining American foreign policy and national security. It's amazing how he's talking about college students being unafraid to speak their minds. You're supposed to be unafraid to be able to participate in our country and our First Amendment. And yet he doesn't talk about the students who are legitimately afraid of merely walking across their campus while at the same time being Jewish. Where was Scott Pelley's concern for those students over the course of the last year and a half? This guy is a blowhard coward who only now, when he is not threatened in any way whatsoever, pretends like there's a threat, while he is able to enjoy the comforts of his very comfortable life, his very protected life, his very sheltered life in Washington, D.C. and Manhattan as a very serious, well-paid journalist. And he spends his time and his effort at a university graduation fear-mongering over nothing that is real or legitimate. Are there some students, international students, who have come to this country who are now going to be deported because they have violated the terms of their student visa? Absolutely. But the way Scott Pelley tells it, each and every one of you are under threat. And if any of the people in this audience are foreign students who came here on a student visa and lied or misrepresented or are now violating the terms of that student international visa, yeah, I guess they should be afraid. But of course, that context is missing from his speech.
Why attack universities? Why attack journalism? Because ignorance works for power. First, make the truth seekers live in fear. Sue the journalists and their companies for nothing. Then send masked agents to abduct a college student who wrote an editorial in her college paper defending Palestinian rights and send her to a prison in Louisiana charged with nothing. Then move to destroy the law firms that stand up for the rights of others. With that done, power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. There's nothing new in this. George Orwell, who we met on the street in London, 1949, he warned us about what he called new speak. He understood that ignorance works for power. But then it is ignorance, isn't it, that you have repudiated every single day here at Wake Forest University, but can't.
Which, of course, we now culminate in your commencement address, which is full of ignorance. Hey, Scott, thanks for invoking Orwell here and Newspeak, because I'm kind of an aficionado of 1984, and it is pretty compelling the way he lays out how you repeat a lie often enough and force the populace to accept that lie. And there is punishment if you don't accept something that is obvious on the face of it, that is a lie, but that's the control of an authoritarian regime utilizing the information platforms can instill the fear and intimidation they can instill on people. So while you're talking about that, Scott, real quick question. Can a man give birth to a baby? What is your answer, Scott? Scott, what is your answer to that question? Can a man give birth to a baby? I would love to hear your answer to that question. And I want you to answer that question in your workplace, on the job. Go to a coffee room at BlackRock there in Manhattan at CBS headquarters. Stand during a coffee break with other employees of CBS News. And I want you, as you're sucking down your Java, say, you know, men are not capable of getting pregnant and giving birth. I want you to say that. And then let's see how your Orwell Newspeak is working out for you. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're really concerned about diversity and you think that it's under threat, the fact is, if you express that biological, scientific, moral, and ethical truth that men cannot give birth to a baby, if you say that on the job, in a work setting, at CBS News, well, you're violating their DEI policies for telling the truth. And Scott Pelley, until you can reconcile that, we will look at this entire speech and, frankly, your entire career as the giant heap of garbage that it is.